I'm now joined by Texas A&M-Commerce Athletic Director Jim Curry, Director of Athletics. However, they're all worded different. Have you ever noticed that?
They're all worded a little different, but what I keep telling folks is that if nothing else, I got the right haircut for the job. So,
you know what? I do like your haircut.
There we go.
It's going, right?
Yep.
All right. We'll get to the nitty-gritty right away. There's been a lot of headlines made recently. Commerce is looking at a name change, trying to kind of mix in with that DFW. Floor's yours. Your thoughts on this and kind of the process, the thought behind it, and also kind of some of the pushback.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's no secret, obviously, that it's a discussion that's going on. I think it's important to kind of take a step back a little bit and kind of see how we got to this conversation to begin with. Yeah. And I think really it starts with the growth of the university overall. When you look at our university, highest enrollment increase of any university in the state this past year, all right? And so we couple that with obviously tremendous growth going on in academic programs, athletics. So the trajectory right now of the university is amazing. Okay. Not only is the growth happening at the university, we're growing west towards the city's growing west towards us. And then when we look at the footprint that we occupy as a Division I university now, basically Shreveport, west to Dallas, north to Norman, south to Nacogdoches. We're the only Division I university in that footprint. That's about the size of the state of West Virginia. It's got about 6 million people in it, right?
Yeah.
So when we look at the opportunity coupled with the growth, we're in a tremendous position to really kind of reposition the university overall. And when you start to look at our student makeup as well, we're pulling a lot more from the DFW, but let's be very clear, we are not forsaking that rural Northeast Texas portion of the state, and because that's our base. And so I will tell you that it's a conversation, but there is a lot of misinformation out there right now going on. Okay. I think if I were to tell anybody right now where we are kind of with that discussion is that it's a very active listening exercise right now.
Okay.
Not to say that something couldn't happen soon in that, and that decision may be that we're really happy with where we are right now, but I think a lot of options are on the table to include keeping the name the same. A&M Dallas obviously has been a conversation. What I can tell you for sure is A&M Dallas at Commerce, which is the name that was kind of floated initially, was never on the table, has never been on the table.
Okay.
So this is kind of part of that.
And that's some of the misinformation that's important to figure out, right?
That's correct.
That's
correct.
That's huge, because honestly, man, if you did Texas A&M University, Dallas at Commerce, I would never I would put that whole acronym out there every time, right? Like,
it's a big field, but we don't have enough space on the field to put all those letters on it, all right? So
you had the Lion a few years ago that took up a lot of space, right? Yeah.
But yeah, I think more than anything, for folks that are really passionate about this topic, is one, folks are listening.
Yes.
No decisions have been made just yet.
Okay.
But more than anything, I think it's just continuing to think about the university, not just right now, but where we want to be 40 years from now, right? And so when we talk about these college decisions, they're not 4-year decisions, they're 40-year decisions. Well, we're kind of positioning this analysis in the same way. This isn't a near-term conversation. This is looking out into the future as well.
Well, and you have a very passionate, devoted fan base. Mm-hmm. One of the most passionate and devoted fan bases in non-FBS in Texas.
Yeah.
They really are. They're a great fan base. But they're very, very, they love their East Texas.
Yep.
And they want that to always be like a focus part of the school. How are you going to be able to manage keeping that a focus while also trying to include some of the DFW market that you do need for growth?
No question. Yeah, I think finding that balance is really important. And one thing that's really nice about us is that we think we do that really well right now. Yeah. So we talk about this rural-urban identity as a university, and I think what's really cool is that it actually manifests itself in a lot of different ways. Whether you look at just our physical space and our geography, we've got the main campus in Commerce, obviously, but then we've got a Dallas site, we've got a Grand Prairie site, a Corsicana site, Mesquite, McKinney, right? And so we're meeting students where they are all across Northeast Texas. But then we look at our academic programs, right? We've got your traditional ag, but we've got urban ag going on down at Dallas, getting ready to grow plants on Mars and stuff, right? I mean, so our engineering programs are outstanding, STEM across the board. Our nursing program is exceptional, and so we're doing academic programs kind of in a very innovative way, but also in a traditional sense. And then you look at our student makeup, right? Yeah. We've got a big portion of our student population is coming from DFW, but obviously we want to be a destination of first choice for students from rural Northeast Texas as well. And so one of the things that's just really cool about what we've got is that at A&M-Commerce, what I like to say is you can have it all.
Yeah. It's hard to balance because, like, I was talking to some students, and the students are like, we're not, they don't care about the name as much as like some of the alums do. And that's another thing you've got to balance in this too, because the alums at the end of the day, they are the ones that are a lot of times your donors.
No question. And every stakeholder in this matters. And not just with respect to rebrand, but everything we do at the university. The local community, our alums, our current student, and our prospective students, faculty, staff, everything. And so, that's one of the things that we try to keep really front of mind in athletics is that we have an opportunity to bring people together across the entire university and across our community. And so we really lean into that just notion that we're a unifier. And so as we kind of do things within the department and program things from initiatives base, we try to keep that front of mind.
Okay, so I would be remiss if I didn't touch on another one that every time I see you, I ask you. You've had a year?
Yep.
How are we doing with facilities? Because we know the facilities the facilities are a big thing that I keep in front of my mind, right? Like, obviously, you understand. So where are we at with progressing towards getting those facilities kind of up to a Division I level?
No question. Yep. So I think one of the most exciting things we've got going on campus right now, and I think it also kind of counters some of the narrative about how committed we are to Commerce, Hunt County, and Northeast Texas, is the new event center. Yeah. So we are in the final stages of schematic design. It is a $70 million venue that not only will serve as the home of our court sports, but also really be a rally point for events within all of Northeast Texas. That type of facility, that size, these types of amenities that we're planning just doesn't exist. And so we really want this to be a rally point for the region. And I think that's really what we've been able to design in this process. And so we'll see the final schematic design next week. Okay. And then we'll go into the next phase of that process. But right now, as of today, we're probably in a position to take the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price, to the board in November for the November board meeting. And if that's the case, we could be looking at potential groundbreaking maybe as early 2025 with a 20-month build anticipated timeline. So that's where we sit right now. Okay. Like I said, we've already got that number approved by the board, and so we're planning and working towards that in our design, but really exciting. And I think what that does next is it starts a big kind of domino effect in terms of what we do from there. So, I was with our university CFO and president doing a site tour of some venues on the East Coast earlier in the spring. And one of the things that we talked about during that process was, okay, when we get ready to break ground on this thing, that question about football is going to come, right? Right? Football is going to come. And make no mistake about it, we talked about those passionate fans. They're passionate about football, too.
About that football stadium,
So one of the things that we've had a conversation about, and we're going to take some steps towards here in this fall, is starting to work on a program of record for football. And that's really kind of the first step in what we want to do from a bigger, more broader capital investment relative to football. The other thing will happen too with the field house is when the court sports move out, that gives us an opportunity to potentially reimagine that space. Could that be an indoor space for football, turf, other things like that? Yeah. So we've got a couple things coming together at the right time. It's just how do we want to sequence that in a very intentional way. And like I said, now that we're as far along in the process with the event center, we can start to now move our focus to, all right, how does this impact football? What can we kind of build in terms of support there? And so we're excited to get that next step in the process going.
And you are just outside really of what I consider the Metroplex, about 45 minutes right now. And so when you put those court sports, build the new one there in Commerce, that will attract regional tournaments, that will attract more high school playoff games. Same with the football field, because you're in, like you were saying, you're in a unique location. You could really be a site that a lot of good high school playoff games are at, and
Yeah.
we're right here with the coaches.
That's exactly
You know,
right.
they're telling you they would like to, I'm sure, right?
No question. And I'm glad you say that, because I think that opportunity, we see it as well. Again, that where we're positioned, where the growth is, just proximity. We're kind of uniquely positioned to serve a lot of different needs, both to the east, west, south, and north of us. And so when we look at opportunities and how we want to program things, we're thinking about that for sure.
Definitely. Well, Jim, thank you so much.
Always a
Appreciate
pleasure.
you
Yes,
answering the
sir.
tough questions,
Yes, sir.
man. I don't have any other type of questions for you, right? Like,
All right, hey.
I mean, I could, but
You could. We're
every
going.
time we talk, it's tough questions.
There's nothing wrong with that. I guess that's part of the job, right? Well,
That's why you signed up for it,
I
right?
guess the good thing is we'll go into Friday opening ceremonies, 3 Olympians.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes,
so
sir.
very proud of that, including one for
Yeah.
Team USA. And so proud to be a leader within the Southland in that regard, but also within all of Texas and also across the country. We will have more Olympians in about 80% of Division I, and so we feel really good about where we're positioned as we go into year 3.
Well, okay, real quick. I do
Yeah,
have one
all right.
more question.
Yeah.
That is this media day.
Yeah.
Last year was virtual.
Mm-hmm.
I ragged on it, and apparently they reminded me of that. But look what they've done.
Yes.
This
Yep.
media day is an event. It's a showcase for this conference.
Yep, and that's exactly what it should be.
Yes.
One of the things that's a comparative advantage for our league is our tight footprint and the markets that we occupy. New Orleans, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, now South Texas, and then all throughout Louisiana. And so that's a comparative advantage for our league. We've got to lean into that, and I think today's event is just a reflection of that notion that we can lean into it and really position ourselves in a different way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cory. Go Lions.